you just got to keep a cool head, because if you're on a motorcycle, you need to be keeping a cool head. If somebody tells you to throw one up, especially if it's a kid, you got to throw it up right quick. All right, today we're going to be going out and doing a little bit of adventure riding on an FZ09. Nah, I'm just playing. But honestly, I could totally see somebody turning this bike into like an adventure type bike. I feel like, honestly, just put some different suspension on this bike and you could probably run it like that. Anyways, what's up guys? Just got off work. Long ass day. Long last 3 days actually. Work like 13.5 hours Monday through Wednesday so that I can have off a 4-day weekend, which is nice, but just makes for a really long week. So getting off kind of late, but the weather is beautiful out right now. Don't get warm in the jacket or nothing like that, so just gonna go for a spin. And today just wanted to talk about the little bit of hate between motorcycles and vehicles. And this is mostly geared towards like the motorcycle side, because they kind of forget that they make these same mistakes that other cars on the road make. And I'll tell you what I mean. It's like you're driving on the road, and I know everybody's done this, and if you haven't, you're lying to yourself. But you'll be riding or driving your vehicle, and maybe you don't see somebody who's like slowing up ahead of you, so like you end up having to like slam on brakes hard, or maybe like you're just like not quite paying attention and you accidentally pull out in front of somebody and you're like, oh shit, now I'm one of them assholes that pull out in front of people and this guy thinks I'm an asshole all the time, and I just really want to be like, hey man, I'm sorry for doing that shit. But yeah, I think people just kind of forget that everybody makes them mistakes. And when you take like the instance where you've made a mistake while you've been on the road before, and all of a sudden you multiply that by all the vehicles on the road, well, people are out there making some mistakes sometimes. And I'm not necessarily like defending cagers out here, because I mean, some of them are idiots, but it is what it is, and it doesn't really piss me off or make me mad like a lot of other people, just because whenever I go out to ride, I just fully expect it. So like when something happens, hopefully anyways, most of the time I'm either expecting it or I'm looking out for it already. So I mean, the last thing you want to do, which seems like what a lot of other motorcyclists want to do, is they just want to get in like a battle with a car. Like, bro, you're not going to win it, you know what I mean? They're in like a 2,000 pound car or whatever it is. I'm just throwing the numbers out, but they're in a big vehicle. So like when these motorcycles like ride up alongside of the car and they get all aggressive with the vehicle, I mean, you're not going to win the battle, you know what I mean? So why make the situation worse? Just like if somebody pulls out in front of me, I just, you know, slow down or go around if I have to and just go on about my day, you know what I mean? There's no reason to get all hateful about it. Something else that really gets on motorcyclists' nerves, and I can completely like relate and understand this, because it's like extremely dangerous for motorcyclists, but like when people are like mowing their grass and shit and they're blowing it out into the road, you know what I'm talking about, and you're like driving on the road and you come across them, and I've seen a bunch of videos where people were like stopping, you know, and get really aggressive with these people who are like mowing their grass out in the yard. And I'll honestly guarantee most of these people, they're not even like thinking about it, or they're not even aware that they're creating like a surface road hazard for motorcyclists out there. They just don't think like that. They're just out mowing their yard. So I feel like if a motorcyclist was to like approach that situation like a lot differently, say you see somebody mowing their yard and it's going all out in the street, I could probably guarantee you that if you were to stop and go up and talk to those people and just be like, hey man, I see you're like blowing your grass out in the road and you might not be aware, but like for motorcyclists, that's like black ice, you know what I mean? So, you know, do you mind just like watching out for that next time when you start mowing, just to kind of keep it on the road? And I guarantee you, if you approach somebody like that, unless they're just a complete scumbag, they're probably going to be like, oh man, I wasn't aware, or I didn't know. Even though some people are becoming more aware of it nowadays just because of like social media, you know, and people, you know, sharing posts about it, but not everybody sees it, you know, especially older folks. And really that's who I like. Whenever I see that happen, and most of the time that's what it is, it's just an older gentleman or even an old lady, you know, out mowing her yard. They're just unaware of it. So if you were to pull up and just kind of fill them in with the information, you know, spread the love, it would probably go a lot better in that situation than just getting all aggressive like right off the bat with somebody. Then it just, all right, so my GoPro battery died and I have no idea where I left off at, but probably something about how cagers are just the biggest assholes in the world. Just kidding. Honestly, most of it really just comes down to ignorance, because they're not motorcyclists, so they just don't know some of the danger that they put motorcyclists in. And really a lot of the, you know, car crashes and stuff like that, the common things among the car crashes really applies to motorcycles too. It's just more dangerous for a motorcycle because, well, you don't have, you know, a vehicle, you know, you're not in a vehicle, so you don't have that cage around you. So it's like the same scenarios going on in the cars, in the car crashes and everything as it is on a motorcyclist. There is a little bit of difference, like you know, a lot of times bikers will get pulled out in front of, and really a lot of that will come down to just something called, you know, unintentional blindness. So, and what that basically is, it's just like everybody's brain is just wired. It's just wired to look for vehicles, you know, look for cars. When you're on, I mean, since you've been driving when you were 16, everybody, or whatever age you started driving, when you're on the road, you're just looking for other vehicles. When you're pulling out, you're looking for another car. And so unintentional blindness is really a thing where it's just the brain just does not register a motorcycle. It just doesn't see it. So, and then you also have the situation where you have motorcyclists who speed, you know, and I'm not getting on to people's speed or wheeling or whatever. I hooligan around too sometimes, but like when you're speeding on a motorcycle, you know, and you're running 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then somebody pulls out in front of you and then you get all pissed off about it. Well, really, it's not their fault. It's kind of your fault because you're on a small vehicle, so whenever that car sees you and the distance that you're at, they can't judge the speed that you're going when you're on a motorcycle. It's just hard to tell like how fast a motorcycle is going when they're far away. So, and some people are aware of that, because I can see, you know, when some vehicles, they'll wait a while. Even if I'm pretty far back, they'll wait a while just because they're really not sure. So maybe they're just familiar with motorcycles or playing it safe, whatever it might be. But yeah, if you're speeding and somebody pulls out in front of you, I mean, it's really just your own fault. So there's no reason for you to get your panties all in a bunch because you were the one, you know, speeding. I've seen videos out there where people are just like, we're not talking about speeding, we're talking about racing, you know what I mean? They're out here going, you know, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, 50 miles an hour over the speed limit, and then throwing up their hands at the car while they pass them like he's the dumbass, you know? And it might sound like I'm ragging on motorcycles, and I'm really not. Like, I understand the frustrations of a motorcyclist, but the thing is, keeping a cool head about it and keeping a cool mind about it, you know, it just keeps you safer while you're on the motorcycle. If you get all upset and pissed off, for one, you're probably going to be paying attention to that vehicle who's pissing you off and just kind of forget your surroundings that's going on around you. And, you know, and that's going to cause you maybe to perhaps even get in an accident. Like I said, not ragging. I understand the frustrations. Trust me, I do. But you also have to remember, we all make them mistakes. So you just got to keep a cool head, because if you're on a motorcycle, you need to be keeping a cool head. I had to do it for the boys, man. Anyway, I'm going to get something to eat. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. I've barely eaten anything today, so my stomach is rumbling, you know what I mean? So I'll see you guys later. Until next time, peace.